Michael Myers debuted in John Carpenter's Halloween in 1978, moments after he did the unthinkable. At just 6 years old, he climbed the stairs of his home in Haddonfield, walked into his sister's room, and stabbed her to death with a kitchen knife. He didn't scream. He didn't cry. He just stood there, silent, staring, like he felt nothing at all. After that, he was locked away in a psychiatric institution for 15 years. He didn't speak a word during that time. Doctors said he was empty, like something had shut off inside him. Then, on the night of October 30th, he escaped. He then killed a mechanic for his clothes, stole a car, and made his way back home. Along the way, he broke into a hardware store and stole a Halloween mask, a pair of knives, and some rope. By the next day, Halloween, he was stalking teenagers, hiding in the shadows, and beginning a new killing spree. Over the decades, we've tried to give him backstory, family curses, druid cults, bloodlines, but none of it really sticks, because the truth is, Michael Myers doesn't need a reason. He doesn't kill out of revenge or hate. He kills because he exists, because it's Halloween, and Halloween belongs to him. As John Carpenter once said, he's almost a supernatural force, a force of nature, an evil force that's loose. With over 160 victims across all timelines, Michael Myers has left a trail of blood that reaches far beyond Haddonfield. He survived fire, bullets, stabbings, and explosions. He doesn't bleed like us. He doesn't die like us. Whether human or something far worse, he just keeps coming. They also call him the Shape, not just for his silhouette, but because he's the shape of death itself, faceless, soulless, and relentless. The iconic white mask, a Captain Kirk mask, spray painted and with the eye holes cut wider. Michael Myers has killed over 160 people across the franchise. Teenagers, cops, random passers-by. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're in his path, you're already gone. Dr. Hannibal Lectar is the kind of man you trust right away. He speaks gently, dresses sharply, and serves the kind of dinners people dream about. He's a brilliant psychiatrist, calm, refined, and always in control. But beneath all that charm is something far more dangerous. First introduced in Thomas Harris's Red Dragon, 1981, Hannibal gained worldwide fame after Anthony Hopkins' chilling portrayal in The Silence of the Lambs, 1991, a performance that earned him an Academy Award with just 16 minutes of screen time. Since then, Hannibal Lectar has appeared in 5 films, 4 novels, and the acclaimed TV series Hannibal, where Mads Mikkelsen redefined the role with eerie precision. Hannibal isn't terrifying because of brute strength. He's terrifying because of his intellect. He has a genius-level IQ, a photographic memory, and speaks several languages fluently. He's deeply cultured with a love for classical music, opera, fine art, and gourmet cuisine. But he's also a cannibalistic serial killer who sees murder as an art form, and often serves his victims as elegant meals. He doesn't kill at random. He targets the rude, the corrupt, the morally bankrupt, people he believes deserve it. His most complex relationship is with FBI profiler Will Graham, the man who first caught him. But Hannibal doesn't just want to outsmart Will, he wants to transform him. Their relationship is less about justice and more about manipulation, obsession, and psychological control. Dr. Hannibal Lectar has a confirmed kill count of at least 41 victims across various media. In 2003, the American Film Institute agreed, ranking Hannibal Lectar the #1 greatest movie villain of all time. Leatherface is the central killer in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. He first appeared in the original 1974 film, directed by Tobe Hooper, and has since become one of the most brutal figures in horror history. Nicknamed Leatherface for the human skin mask he wears, he was inspired by real-life murderer Ed Gein, who also crafted trophies from his victims' remains. Leatherface doesn't kill for pleasure or power, he kills because it's routine, because it's what his family expects. His first kill in the original film is sudden and shocking. A man walks into a room, and within seconds, Leatherface slams a sledgehammer into his skull, drags the twitching body away, and slams the steel door shut. He's mentally impaired, emotionally stunted, and completely under the control of his cannibalistic family's timelines. His real name changes, like Bubba Sawyer, Jedediah Sawyer, or Thomas Hewitt. His family also changes across films, known as the Sawyer family in the original series and the Hewitt family in the 2003 reboot, but they always live isolated in rural decay, feeding on travelers and hiding behind gas stations or sheriff badges. Family members often act as cooks, torturers, or corrupt authority figures. He's appeared in 9 films across multiple continuities. His kill count varies, but he's responsible for over 31 on-screen deaths. His most iconic weapon is the chainsaw, but he's just as lethal with sledgehammers, cleavers, meat hooks, and knives. What makes him even more unsettling is his collection of masks, each made from his victim's skin and worn to reflect different personas. John Doe isn't interested in chaos. Everything he does is planned, measured, patient, and cold. Debuting in Seven, 1995, he executes a series of 7 murders, each based on the 7 deadly sins from Christian theology. His occupation is never revealed, but based on his articulate speech, handwriting, and living conditions, he may have once been a writer, academic, or religious fanatic. He doesn't kill impulsively, he kills to make a point. For gluttony, he forces an obese man to eat until his stomach ruptures. For greed, he makes a corrupt lawyer cut a pound of flesh from himself. He bleeds to death. For sloth, he ties a drug dealer to a bed for an entire year, keeping him alive and rotting in filth. For lust, he forces a man to kill a sex worker using a bladed device. For pride, he mutilates a model's face and offers her a choice: live disfigured or die. She chooses suicide. After these 5 murders, John Doe walks calmly into the police station and turns himself in, his clothes soaked in blood, but his voice steady. He tells detectives Mills and Somerset that there are 2 more victims, and that's when the twist unfolds. Envy, he explains, is himself. He envies Detective Mills' simple, happy life, especially his pregnant wife. Wrath is Mills. After Doe reveals he killed Tracy and had her head delivered in a box, Mills breaks and shoots him, completing the final sin, exactly as Doe intended. John Doe's crimes are not fueled by rage or randomness. He's highly intelligent, methodical, and deeply religious in a warped way. He shows signs of psychopathy, lacking empathy, yet able to manipulate with chilling precision. He believes society is morally bankrupt and sees himself as an instrument of divine justice. Every murder is staged to reflect its sin, each crime scene a message. He leaves visual cues, written taunts, and grotesque artistry behind. He shows no remorse, because in his mind, he's not a murderer, he's the messenger. In the end, he orchestrates his own death as the final piece of a perfectly executed 7-part morality play. Ghostface first appeared in Wes Craven's Scream, 1996, written by Kevin Williamson. But unlike most slashers, Ghostface isn't one person, it's an identity. A rotating mask passed from killer to killer across the franchise. The costume is always the same: a long black hooded robe with frayed edges, a white ghost mask stretched in horror, and a hunting knife used for brutal up-close kills. Every Ghostface uses a voice changer to call their victims first, taunting them, quizzing them on horror movie trivia, and building suspense before striking. The voice remains the same in every film, delivered chillingly by Roger L. Jackson, but behind the mask, the face always changes. Ghostface kills with precision, but unlike supernatural killers, he often fakes weaknesses, stumbling, taking hits, playing vulnerable, only to recover and strike with vicious speed. The kills are always close up and personal, usually involving repeated stabbings. He enjoys turning safe spaces, homes, dorms, parties, into bloodbaths. Ghostface doesn't use guns or traps, just a knife, a voice, and a plan. Across all 6 films, Ghostface has racked up over 60 kills. Each killer has a different motive: fame, revenge, legacy, and jealousy. They all share the same mask and method. That's what makes Ghostface terrifying. It could be anyone: a friend, a lover, a sibling right beside you. Patrick Bateman, the central figure in Bret Easton Ellis's American Psycho, is a wealthy, handsome 26-year-old Wall Street investment banker living in 1980s Manhattan. On the surface, he's the picture of success: designer suits, elite restaurants, a perfect skincare routine, and a workout regimen that would impress any gym rat. But beneath the polished exterior is a sociopathic killer who dismembers, mutilates, and tortures his victim with cold detachment and theatrical flair. His targets range from homeless people and sex workers to coworkers, friends, and even strangers who have slightly better business cards. Some are murdered with an axe, others with a chainsaw, and one woman's brain is actually fed to another. He keeps body parts in his fridge, draws pornographic violence in his notebooks, and describes his crimes with the same detail he gives to his morning facial scrub or his opinion on Huey Lewis in the news. Bateman's psychological profile displays traits of antisocial personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, and classic psychopathy. He's manipulative, lacks empathy, and shows no remorse. He's obsessed with status, physical perfection, designer brands, and control, especially over women and peers. Despite his polished confidence, he's riddled with inner rage, paranoia, and dissociation. Christian Bale's performance in the film was based on Tom Cruise, specifically what Bale described as an intense friendliness with nothing behind the eyes. It's this emptiness that defines Bateman. Bateman's exact kill count is unknown, but he claims to have murdered over 40 people in the novel. Only around 7 are confirmed on screen in the film. Norman Bates is a soft-spoken motel manager and part-time taxidermist who first appeared in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, 1960, based on the novel by Robert Bloch. He later appeared in several sequels, spin-offs, and the modern prequel TV series Bates Motel, 2013 through 17. Diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder, DID, Norman suffers from deep emotional trauma and psychosis. After murdering his emotionally abusive mother, Norma Bates, and her lover out of jealousy, He preserved her corpse and mentally kept her alive. Over time, he developed a split personality, one in which he fully becomes Mother, a violent persona that emerges when he feels threatened, jealous, or emotionally overwhelmed. As Norman, he's polite, nervous, and childlike. As Mother, he's manipulative, possessive, and homicidal. He represses his guilt by speaking to his mother's corpse and blaming her for the murders he commits. His most infamous crime is the murder of Marion Crane in the shower scene from Psycho, a cinematic milestone. Norman's known methods of killing include stabbing, usually while dressed as his mother, poisoning, and blunt force trauma. He's meticulous in cleaning up after his crimes, often hiding bodies and returning to his daily routine without suspicion. His kill count varies across versions, but he's confirmed to have murdered at least 6 people in the films, with more added in the novels and TV series. He's fascinated by taxidermy, especially birds, and lives in a decaying house above his isolated motel. With his emotionally stunted demeanor, nervous charm, and fractured mind, Norman Bates remains one of the most chilling characters in horror history. Perfectly summarized in his own words, we all go a little mad sometimes. Pearl lives on a farm in rural Texas. Her husband is off at war. Her mother controls everything. Her father can't speak. All in all, she wants to be a star. In Pearl 2022, we see the beginning of her descent. She starts by killing a goose with a pitchfork. Then, a scarecrow becomes the target of a disturbing fantasy. But when the local theater denies her a dance audition, her one chance at escape, something in her breaks. The next thing we see is her mother, burned and shoved into the basement. Her paralyzed father suffocates soon after, forced to stare while she poisons him with a smile. Pearl doesn't kill because she enjoys it. She kills because she refuses to be forgotten. When her friend Misty learns too much, Pearl chases her through the woods and stabs her over and over until she stops screaming. Then she feeds her to the alligator in the pond. In X 2022, we meet Pearl again. Now elderly, but just as lethal. She stabs, shoots, and strangles her way through a group of adult filmmakers renting her guest house. She moves slowly, but no one sees her coming until it's too late. In total, Pearl has a confirmed kill count of 9 victims across her film. Pearl isn't a monster at first glance. She's soft-spoken, desperate, and often ignored. That's what makes her dangerous. No one suspects her until they're already dying. The Grabber first appears in The Black Phone, 2021, set in 1978 North Denver. His real name is Albert Shaw, a part-time magician who abducts boys in broad daylight using a black van, black balloons, and the promise of a magic trick. Once he has them, he drugs them and locks them in a soundproof basement where he begins what he calls the Naughty Boy game. Sometimes he leaves the door unlocked on purpose, waiting for the victim to try to escape so he has an excuse to punish them. It's a test and a trap. He displays traits of antisocial personality disorder and sadism, and likely suffers from dissociative tendencies. His behavior swings between eerie calmness and violent outbursts. Everything he does is ritualistic, structured like a performance, and he uses masks to embody different personas: a smiling mask when pretending to be kind, a frown when angry, and a mouthless mask when exerting full control. These modular masks, crafted by horror legend Tom Savini, reflect the fractured pieces of his psyche and his need to hide from himself. The basement itself contains a disconnected black rotary phone that somehow allows Finney, the latest victim, to hear the voices of the Grabber's past victims. Griffin, Billy, Vance, Bruce, and Robin all died in that same room, but through the phone, their spirits reach out to Finney, guiding him, giving him advice, and helping him fight back. The phone becomes more than a supernatural twist, it's a lifeline, and for the first time, the Grabber's sick game doesn't go according to plan. In Thanksgiving 2023, the quiet town of Plymouth, Massachusetts prepares for the holidays, until a masked killer begins turning tradition into a bloodbath. Wearing a cold, expressionless pilgrim mask styled after the real John Carver, the first governor of Plymouth Colony, he stalks the streets with a black hat, colonial outfit, and a twisted sense of historical justice. But there's nothing patriotic about what he does. Directed by Eli Roth, the film is based on a fake trailer he created for Grindhouse 2007, expanded into a full feature 16 years later due to fan demand. It fuses classic slasher tropes with Thanksgiving aesthetics, turning Turkey Day into a holiday of horror. The killer, known only as John Carver, is methodical, theatrical, and intelligent. He's motivated by revenge after a deadly Black Friday stampede at the local Right Mart, an event that left multiple people dead, including his pregnant wife. Now, he's targeting those who profited from or acted selfishly during the chaos, forcing them to be thankful in the most horrifying ways. His killings are ritualistic and symbolic. Victims are hunted down with axes, cleavers, turkey basters, corn skewers, even branding irons. Each scene is staged for maximum shock. One woman is sliced in half, another strangled with Christmas lights. He leaves cryptic Puritan-style messages, live streams some murders, and often arranges victims around a fully set Thanksgiving table. The most disturbing scene features Kathleen, drugged, stripped, stuffed, and roasted like a turkey, her hair tied with twine, skin browned, and served to horrified guests as part of his grotesque feast. The masked killer, whose true identity is Sheriff Eric Newland, is responsible for 8 confirmed murders. Freddy Krueger first appeared in A Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984, created by Wes Craven. He was once known as the Springwood Slasher, a child murderer who killed over 20 children in a boiler room. But when the law let him walk free on a technicality, the parents of Springwood took justice into their own hands. They burned him alive. That should have been the end. But it wasn't. Freddy came back as something worse, a dream demon. Now he haunts the nightmares of teenagers, the children of those same parents, and if he kills you in your dreams, you die for real. He wears a burned red and green sweater, a battered fedora, and a glove fitted with razor-sharp blades. His skin is scorched, his voice rasps, but what makes him terrifying isn't just how he looks, it's how he kills. Freddy doesn't chase you, he waits, and when you fall asleep, he uses your deepest fears against you. He once turned a victim into a human puppet using their tendons. Freddy mocks his victims. He laughs while they scream. He warps dreams into personal nightmares and turns guilt, fear, and trauma into weapons. He talks constantly, taunting, joking, and twisting every moment for maximum psychological torment. Unlike silent killers like Jason or Michael Myers, Freddy is theatrical, sadistic, and intelligent. He shapeshifts, bends reality, and exists with near immortality in the dream world. But he has a weakness. If his victims stop fearing him or pull him into the real world, he can be hurt. Across 9 films, Freddy has racked up over 40 kills, mostly teenagers. His legacy spans sequels, a remake, a TV series, and even a crossover. In Freddy vs. Jason, 2003, 2 horror legends collided in a blood-soaked dreamscape of horror. His most chilling line still rings true. Whatever you do, don't fall asleep, because eventually, everyone does. And that's when Freddy gets you. John Kramer was a respected civil engineer, intelligent, calm, meticulous, but everything changed after a violent robbery at his wife Jill Tuck's rehab clinic led to the loss of their unborn child. Shortly after, he was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. Desperate and broken, John drove off a cliff in a suicide attempt. He survived. And in that moment, he found clarity. Life is a gift, and those who waste it must be taught to cherish it through pain. In Saw 2004, John reemerges as Jigsaw, not a typical killer, but a man with a mission. He doesn't kill directly. Instead, he builds elaborate traps that reflect his victims' sin. Addicts, abusers, liars, self-harmers, and criminals wake up chained, bleeding, and terrified. They're given choices: mutilate themselves, sacrifice others, or die. If they fail, he removes a jigsaw-shaped piece of their flesh, his mark for those who lack the will to live. His traps are symbolic and brutal. A man with self-harm scars must crawl through razor wire. A drug addict must gut a stranger to retrieve a key. A liar must rip out their tongue to escape decapitation. He uses a puppet named Billy to deliver messages via TV screens or tapes, and dons a pig mask during abductions to represent rebirth. John Kramer is deeply philosophical and emotionally detached, yet he shows strange compassion to those who survive. He believes that only through suffering can people truly appreciate life. Even after his death in Saw 3, his legacy continues through complex traps, pre-recorded instructions, and a growing list of apprentices, including Amanda Young, Detective Mark Hoffman, Logan Nelson, and possibly Dr. Gordon. Across the franchise, his traps have resulted in over 70 deaths, most not by his hand, but by design. And while some apprentices twisted his methods, Jigsaw himself always gave a choice. Jason Voorhees was a boy who drowned in 1957. Deformed and mocked by other kids, he slipped beneath the surface of Camp Crystal Lake while the teenage counselors were too busy fooling around to notice. His mother, Pamela, blamed them all. In Friday the 13th, 1980, she comes back to the camp and murders every counselor she can reach, until she's beheaded. That should have been the end. But in Friday the 13th, Part 2, 1981, Jason returned. Whether he somehow survived or came back from the dead is never made fully clear, but he lives in the woods now, alone, watching, waiting. He starts killing anyone who steps into Crystal Lake, picking up where his mother left off. At first, Jason wears a burlap sack over his head. In Part 3, he finds the hockey mask that becomes his signature look. It's blank, cold, and unfeeling, just like him. By part 6, Jason lives. Lightning strikes his grave and resurrects him. From that point on, Jason is undead, stronger than before, slower but unstoppable. He's not just a man anymore, he's a force to be reckoned with. He's thrown people through windows, snapped necks backwards, and sliced victims in half with a machete. His body count across films is over 160. Jason kills out of instinct and rage. He protects Camp Crystal Lake like it's a sacred ground. Anyone who enters, teenagers, hikers, trespassers, they all die. He rarely targets children or animals, showing a strange line he won't cross.